fake webinars and scams and bad marketing. So we're going to start off with our big attention grabber that I actually started a cult once. I'm saying this for a little bit dramatic effect, but there's some actual truth to it. You see, back in 2003, I actually was playing a lot of video games, and it was a little game called RuneScape, and it's kind of one of these massively multiplayer online RPGs, and kind of World of Warcraft, if you guys have ever heard of that. You basically spend a lot of time doing a whole lot of nothing. And in this game, I got really, really bored of the game because, you know, you're sitting around clicking, collecting money, or you're going around clicking on monsters to level up your skills. And I decided one day that I thought it would be really cool if I just acted out really weird and started picking cabbages in the game. And really funny, I don't know why. I was in my early 20s and I had a lot of time on my hands. So I started picking cabbages and I dressed really weird. That's me kind of in the top corner there with a little black robe and a chef hat. And the funny thing that happened though is that people started following me and they started picking cabbages with me, as you kind of see in the bottom. And they started dressing the same as me. And as people who play video games do, we kind of like to have a little bit of fun. And we even started a little website. We called ourselves the Order of Cabbage. And we actually picked a lot of cabbages. We picked 4 million cabbages. And don't ask me how many hours of real life time that takes, because it's really depressing. But there's a reason why I bring this all up, is because basically what I ended up doing was we kind of called it a cult. We were kind of joking around. We didn't even know what that word was at the time. But I learned a lot about people by doing this. And one of the interesting things I noticed was that in this video game, what I had done is I basically stopped playing the game, and I took all the value out of playing the game normally. And I ended up replacing it with this object, cabbage, which was really useless, and there was absolutely no value in it. There was not worth anything in the game. You didn't get any bonuses or rewards for having cabbage. It was just this silly thing. But the interesting thing that I observed is that when we took away the value of why we were playing the game to level up our characters, what ended up happening is we started looking for other ways of putting value. We started valuing the community that we built. And if you asked the hundreds or thousands of people that contributed to my little cabbage fund, what was really interesting is that they always said the same thing. We joined it for the people. And there started being these little communities that we built around it. We started implementing some rituals. We started doing little silly cabbage games. Basically, cabbage had no actual value. And but people were gladly spending all their time and giving it to me. But we started thinking of other ways of why this was valuable. And what's really important about this, and why this relates to marketing and fake webinars and gurus and all kinds of other scams you see out there, is that there's usually not a lot of value that's being given. And so they rely on tricks, they rely on building communities, and they rely on using the psychology of us as humans, trying to attach value to something that wasn't. And that was a really kind of important thing that I learned, is that when you're getting many people doing your bidding, it's kind of a really powerful thing to be able to say, hey, I had all these people and they're giving me things. And that's where scams really go wrong. And 3 important things that you have to know about these, scams in the real world, not the fake ones that I did playing video games, was that scams are never 100% a scam. And I think it's a really important thing to know, is because a lot of the defenses that you see for if you say, oh, this person's a scammer, and they'll say, well, he's actually giving me some value and I really value it. The point is that the scam is just doing just enough value to make you believe that you're getting something out of it, when it really isn't, for the amount of time or money that you're putting in. And I would put my little gaming group there in with that. They were getting some fun, but it's not like they were really getting a lot out of it. Falling for a scam is not based on intelligence. That's another thing I've noticed. So I've attended a lot of webinars. I've done a lot of research on like kind of cults and gurus and all that. And the one common thing that I've noticed with all of it is that the people that are in these groups that get taken for scams and that, they're not stupid people. This goes for everything from conspiracies or far left or right political leanings, is that these are actually generally very intelligent people. But what has actually happened is that they've had a need. And maybe as business owners, you might relate, you have some highs in your business and you have some lows. What's more an indicator of whether someone falls for something is if they're in one of those lows, they have a really pressing need and somebody promises to fill it. And it's not that you were dumb, it's that you were at an emotional low and taken advantage of. And the third really interesting thing that I've learned in my research is that remembering that scammers are often victims themselves, especially when it comes to fake gurus online and other kind of like, well-known kind of personalities, is that oftentimes they're actually genuinely thinking they're helping people. And they've actually bought into a system themselves, and they're just running the system that they've learned. So what I've seen in the coaching realm, for instance, is you have these guys at the top that are coaches, and they get people to pay $5,000 to become a coach themselves, and they get trained to teach other people to be coaches. And all these people, they're spending money because they either want the success or whatnot, and they spend the money, and now all of a sudden they're kind of trying to be a coach, or they're trying to put on webinars for other people. But they're actually the victim themselves. They're just running through the process, and the people that is attending theirs are the collateral there. So yeah, yes, good, perfect, yeah. Scams are like good lies. Truths are embedded with them. Yes, Bernie, that's 100% true. And scams, you got to also remember, you're never going to see like a scam where you can go, aha, I found it. That's a scam, and it's very clear. Usually of the time, there's a little bit of truth to it. There's a little bit of value. The problem is when the value exchange is overinflated. So if you give someone $100 and you get $200 of value, that's good. But if you give someone $1,000 or $2,000, but you're really only getting like $100 of real practical value, that's when we can start to see a scam, but it's very blurry. So so I'm basically just going to jump right into some of the things I've seen. And if you guys have seen some around that you want to post in the chat, or if you have a question about them, if I'm going too fast or slow, just let me know. So one of the first ones is fake followers. And when we're talking about scams and bad marketing, it's not always the big, huge headline getting ones that are important. It actually often starts with the small things, because what you do in the small things in life, you're going to do in the big things in life. And one of the things that I see quite often is fake followers. So a fake follower is usually when you spend money to boost up your Facebook profile or your business's like count. And it's all an attempt to basically make you look more famous or more reliable than you actually are. And a lot of scammers use this as a way of making, like you might see a YouTube account where it has like millions upon millions of views. And then you go, but that video wasn't really that good. Who's actually watching this? And oftentimes it's because no one is. They're actually paying for it. But fake followers can go down, and it can even affect small businesses as well. And everyone can get attached to it. They're saying, hey, I need to get my like counts up. And then someone comes to them in that moment of need to saying, hey, I can get your followers up. And if you're not careful, you can end up having, if you hire someone, you can end up hiring someone to boost your profile when they're actually just giving you fake likes. And why this is bad is that, first off, it's a lie. If you're trying to prove yourself as someone famous or someone who's respectable, and it's based off of bots clicking on your account or a lot of fake sites, you're lying to your customers and it's bad. Not all businesses actually know that they've gotten fake followers. They know they've just hired a company and it's made their numbers go up. So that's good. But there's also another problem, is that you're losing trust, because you might think it's really cool to have your numbers really high, but then people who can see like, oh, that person's got 5,000 followers and they just started, they must be lying. And if they're lying about that, what else are they lying about? And you'll see this often with gurus and other, kind of scammer type people, is that if you take a look at their followers, you can sometimes see some things that don't line up. Another big problem, though, for an actual business owner, if you have fake followers, is that when you make a post, your post is getting sent out to fake profiles, not to real customers. So by building this kind of walls of fakeness around you, you actually stop reaching out to actual real people. You're doing it for the short-term game to make yourself look good, but now all of a sudden you can't actually reach real people. That becomes a problem. And another way of spotting the fake followers or poor quality followers is if you see someone with lots of followers or lots of likes on their page, but when you look through their posts, they have no comments, there's no shares, there's not many likes, and that will tell you how it is. This is one that I've seen a little bit, and I've even almost fell for one of these ones, and it's called the fake live webinar. So while you guys are going out on webinars and everything, there's a lot of them that are live and they're real people. Like right now, if you put something in the chat, I'm going to respond to it, right? But on some of these live webinars, especially if you've been clicking on ads, you can actually end up in a automated webinar that's a pre-recording, and there's nothing really wrong about that. It's actually a good thing. However, what happens is some of these marketers go a little too far, and they actually try and make it look like it's actually live. They'll actually have a chat box that you can type in your questions. You might even seeing some likes pop up. You'll see a view count that says like 800 or 900 people. And then the person who in the pre-recorded message, he'll actually take questions. He'll say, hey, put your questions in the chat. And he'll say, oh, Steve says, oh, he says this. And then he responds to Steve. This is all in an attempt to make the scammer look like they're bigger than they actually are. And they're trying to use social proof and social pressures, because they know that the psychology is that if you see 800 other people watching, you might, oh, this is actually important. And they're also going to use this for a couple other really nefarious reasons. So one of them is that the questions that they're going to be asking that are coming from the audience are actually going to be salesy questions that are set up to try and break down your objections, but doing it in a really backhanded way. So one of the webinars that I was on and watching, all of the questions were things that were going on in my head. So I'm thinking, oh shoot, is this, this sounds like a good idea, but it's a lot of money. So one of the questions that would pop up is like, oh, it's like, this seems like a lot of money, but how do I know I'm going to get value? And then the person started answering it. And then I was thinking, oh shoot, oh, okay, he answered that question. Well, how about, what happens if I don't have all the money right now? And then one of the audience questions came up as actually that. And then I realized, wait a second, he's planting these are all just dealing with all the objections. So fake live webinars are a thing to watch out for, and they can go to great lengths to deceive you. And it's terrible. I think one of the famous examples, there's a YouTube channel I actually like some of the content on called London. Oh shoot, I can't remember them, but they're kind of known for it, and that, high production quality. And they even do like the testing before the webinar starts. So you think that they're just getting started. So fake live webinars. Here's some of the tactics that you really need to watch out for. And some of these tactics, by the way, are actually useful marketing techniques or things that you probably want to keep in mind. But The problem is the motive and the intention behind them, as well as the actual business model. Is the business model actually giving value or not? So one of the things that you see, and Tony Robbins is famous for this, again, not saying that anyone who uses this tactic is a scammer, but this is a powerful psychological technique, is planting yes behavior. So raise your guys' hands if if you've ever been feeling down, or if you've ever been feeling beat up as a business owner, and then you get everyone to raise your hands, and maybe some of you are doing it right now, right? And then what you do is you can ask questions throughout all of the webinar saying, do you want to make more money? Type chat and yes into the chat if you want to make more money. Type into the chat, or in a live webinar, an actual live setting, you get people to yell at you saying, I just want to hear, what do you think of this? Yes or no? And then you get everyone saying yes. And it's actually planting a behavior of getting you to say yes. So at the end of the webinar, you've physically said yes, you've typed it into the chat or whatnot, and you've broken through that barrier of saying yes to things. And they know that that actually works to make people say yes to things they wouldn't otherwise do. Pairing that with a thing called decision fatigue. Some of these webinars are 2 hours long. And the reason why they're so long is that they know that there's this thing called decision fatigue, whereas when you get tired and you get overwhelmed and bombarded with facts and all this, by the end of the webinar, you're probably just going to say yes because your brain isn't working anymore. So this is why we're trying to keep this to 20 minutes, right? Getting buy-in and not wanting to admit you made a mistake. You're going to see oftentimes in webinars that are going to try and get you to buy something really small, or even in advertising, people get you to buy like something for $7 or $5. Or the famous one is, hey, I'm going to give you a free book. All you got to do is pay for the shipping and handling. The reason why this is happening is that if you spent money on someone, you don't want to feel that you've wasted your time on the webinar or your money by paying for the shipping of a free book or something. And because they know that people don't like admitting they're wrong, they know that you're more likely to double down and buy the big $500 or $1,000 ticket than you will to just say, oh, I lost $7 and whatever, I'm out. So be really careful when you're committing to somebody and they're asking for buy-in on things, because they're using that against you later. False scarcity. You see this in webinars all the time. By now, we only have I'm only taking on 5 more students, or I'm only I have 20 more of this digital product that we're going to be doing this year. And a lot of times, especially if it's coaching or a digital product, this scarcity is not real. And anytime you see sort of scarcity, like buy now, limited time and all that, ask yourself the question, is this something that actually is limited, or is this a false scarcity promise? And if someone's doing this, it's because they don't have your interest best at heart. They're just caring about making the sale, not actually helping you. Blaming the victim is one of the biggest scams. As a business owner, I personally believe in personal responsibility. You should own the outcomes as much as possible. Yes, there's bad clients out there, but we also do a sales process to make sure that things are a good fit. And what a lot of scams, especially, these gurus and that do is they sell to anybody, and their promise is anybody can become a millionaire. Anybody, all you got to do is follow this. And they give themselves the back door as well. If you don't follow it, sorry, you can't get a refund on it, or it's probably because you didn't work hard enough, or you really didn't believe it, or you didn't see it through to the end. And no legitimate business, I think, would ever go around blaming their customers. What you might say is a bad fit. But you should, as a business, be responsible for your customer success, again, as much as you can. So I think it's not about saying that you should take all the responsibility or the person should take all the responsibility, but it's about the extreme. If they're putting all the blame on all the negativity on the victim, that's when it's bad. social pressure, as we said, that you're going to have fake people saying yes. You're going to have plants in the audience. Like maybe I got Bernie, he's going to buy my product at the end of this webinar, and that's going to make you guys want to do it. There's no product at the end of this, by the way. And value stacking. $5,000 of value if you buy now. A lot of times those things are just digital products that you can find for free online anywhere. Cool. Another big scam that I've seen recently is #1 Amazon bestseller. And instead of getting into all the details of this, if you're going to see people that are trying to make themselves look more important than they actually are, or more of an authority, if you want to be a #1 Amazon bestseller, here's what this guy, Mike Winnett, did. You pick an unpopular niche on Amazon that has no one competing for it. You get a few friends to buy it, and you throw up a book. It could be almost anything. And you can be an Amazon bestseller, because all you have to do is be a bestseller for an hour, and then you get that designation. So oftentimes a lot of kind of scammers and gurus, they'll say if they're leading with #1 Amazon bestseller, that's usually a red flag that they're trying to make themselves look really important or an authority when they actually aren't, and they haven't done the work. This book, by the way, that I'm showing you here, it's 100 pages of blank. There's nothing in the book, and he got 50 people to pay for it, and there's nothing in the book, and he is an Amazon #1 bestseller. The worst I've seen of this is that there's actually systems out there. There's people that sell a whole course, and they'll write the book for you. They will connect you with testimonials from high-profile influencers, and they will publish the book for you and get it out there, make you an Amazon bestseller, and all you had to do was spend an hour or two of your time telling them what you want the book of. So be careful when people are using this as a testimonial. High-profile testimonials. A lot of times testimonials are important, big names are important, but there's a lot of people out there, especially in the guru community themselves, where you can actually pay for big names, people you actually know, to recommend these courses and all that. And this gets back to that kind of pyramid coaching platform where you're going to have this big guru at the top, and he's got, he's sold like he has thousands of students under him. He's teaching them how, and those students and those people who are bought into the course all recommend each other, and they put their name on, and they use their influence and all this on each other. And so when you're looking at testimonials, yeah, it's pyramid. Yeah, that's what it is right? Is the people on the inside are giving their own testimonials. So when you're seeing lots of testimonials by big names, ask yourself, are these people the sort of people that would be in the same community already, or are these people that are customers coming from all over the place? Checking out reviews as well. Look for templated looking reviews, repetitive things. A lot of reviews are really poor grammar. They're either short or long-winded randomly. They talk about specific stories. I mean, you can fake all of that, but just looking at all the different reviews and testimonials they have, and are there actually average people that you can actually track and look back to? Cool. How are we doing for time, by the way, there, Margaret Ann? Just throw in the chat there.
We're good.
Okay, cool. I'm getting close to the end though, so I'm happy for that. So this is another one that touches a lot of people. It's called follow and engagement pods. So actually, I'm just take a second here. Has anyone knows what I'm talking about, an Instagram engagement pod? Just type in the chat real quick if people know about that or have seen it on LinkedIn or Instagram. He's otherwise known as share groups. Malcolm Sinclair, no, okay. So one of the things that I've seen a lot of small business owners get into is because they don't know about these things. But the idea is that there's the Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn algorithms. What they all do is that they like to see if you make a post and then people start commenting on it and liking it, the algorithm is going to say, hey, this is a popular post, so I'm going to share it to more people because I'm getting lots of engagement on it. And so what people have devised is they're saying, hey, we can all get together. Let's get 100 or 200 businesses together and let's all share each other's stuff. So anyone that posts a link to their newest blog or a LinkedIn post or a Facebook post, they put it in there, and then everyone in the group goes and likes it and comments on it. And the idea is that one, it's going to make everyone look a little bit better because there's lots of engagement. Two, the algorithm is going to actually share to more people because you're just getting the ball rolling, I think is the mentality that they're having it. And this sounds on paper like a really good thing. The reality is that there's 4 terrible things about it. One is that you're no longer playing a free market game. It's disconnecting you from reality. So if your content sucks and nobody likes it, you're now losing that kind of natural selection kind of buffer to tell you what is good and bad content. The reason why you post content on social media is so that you can find out what do people actually care about. The good stuff should rise to the top and the bad stuff falls. If you don't have a way of telling when your stuff is actually good or not, you don't know how to improve, and that's going to hurt you in the long run. Your reach is no longer going to be going out to real people. The algorithms are really smart, and they actually pick up on when you share the same stuff all over again. Like, you might even notice this yourself. If you as a business owner share your own page onto like 20 different business groups, it's actually not going to reach as many people as you would normally think if you're giving single posts and lots of value. It breaks trust. People can spot this. And the reason why people can spot it is you see this post and you see all these comments, and all of them are great post or love it or you're the man, John. And it's not actual engagement. It's people that are doing it just so that they can get the engagement back. And when that happens, it actually all starts crumbling down around you because your content's not getting out there. People lose trust in you. And then here's the other kicker, is that if you ever try and leave these groups, one, there's a lot of politics in it. And two, you got to all of a sudden face that reality of making a post and having nobody like it. And that hurts a lot of people. But I would say it's better to get hurt and then know you need to improve than to artificially inflating your results. The reality is, if you want more people to see your posts, write better content, engage with more people, and engage with other people's stuff so they reciprocate. Or 3, pay for the ads. And that's that one there. So yeah, the engagement pods, a lot of people will tell you all these good things about them. And a lot of people are just desperate right now to make anything work. So, and it sounds like it's really easy to do, but if it was that easy, then everyone would be doing it and getting success with it. But most people, they're just wasting your time doing it. So cool. We are at the end of most of the major scams and bad marketing that I've been seeing. My final thoughts on everything. So the beginning of every kind of marketing funnel is usually legitimate. And what that means is that even the most hardcore scammer, like despicable person, I'm sure you might have seen someone out there, the beginning of their sales process is usually legitimate. They're actually giving you good value. There's one guy named Ty Lopez. If you've heard of him, you know who I'm talking about. If not, just know that he's someone who gives a little bit of value, but he's mostly all talk and there's not a lot of substance, and I wouldn't trust most of what he says. The thing is he says a lot of really smart things, and he hangs out with a lot of good people, and he does deliver a lot of value in his social media and up front. The problem is that he's just regurgitating things like anyone. There's not a lot of original thoughts out there. He's just taking things that he's read in books, and he's a successful guy now. But the bottom half of his funnel is where the value drops off. You have a lot of students with not a lot of success, and he's making a lot of money off of people. But the beginning stuff, that value that he gives on social media for free, it is legitimate. People hold on to that, and that's how they get caught into the scam. 1% of people have sociopathic or psychopathic traits. This isn't to say that they're evil people. It's that there's people out there that have a trouble with empathy, and they have no concept of the impact that they have on other people's lives. And that results in them becoming a very self-centered person. And oftentimes, you really feel for those people. They're struggling. But a small percentage of those people, when they come upon a system that's fairly easy and automated to do to scam people out of money, these people do exist. So you need to watch out. They're predatory people. And oftentimes they really believe in what they're doing is a good and righteous cause. However, the aftermath of it is bad. So just remember that, there's some people out there that are honestly, maybe they think they're doing a good job, but they're not realizing the damage they cause by what they're doing. Scams adapt to the objection. So the other thing that people prey on is that these scams are always changing, because as the market gets smarter and wiser to things, the objection has to change. So pyramid schemes used to be really simple. It's just an exchange of money, and very clearly and simply you can see how that's wrong. How they adapt is they eventually adapt to not look exactly like a pyramid scheme, or they start adding all kinds of other bells and whistles. But at the end of the day, it's money being exchanged in a pyramid, and the people at the bottom suffer. The people who got in at the top do very well. So keeping in mind that unless you're paying attention to this, like I do, unfortunately, all the day long, it's hard to keep up with these objections. So you need to keep questioning. Real businesses own the outcome. If you see victim blaming happening, if you see a lot of, lots of broad-based promises without people getting to know your business and how it works, chances are there's someone that's, not paying attention or not taking responsibility for their product, and you're going to have a bad experience with. And the final thing is don't learn about who is bad, learn about what is bad. Because it's hard to say who is actually a bad actor or not, because even people that I'm fairly certain are scammers, I don't know 100%, but what I do know 100% is when low value is being exchanged, when these deceptive sales tactics are being used, and when somebody is trying to make themselves look as an authority figure when they're not actually. And so that is my presentation.